Welcome back to the QueensYanks channel. Thank you guys so much for coming back and checking out my final video, planned video in the trilogy of the Canadian Premier League. Couple things before we get into today's video. First of all, I just wanted to give Canada a big hug. Thank you for your hospitality and conversations you've been showing on the comments of the previous two videos. I really hope to keep that going on this video. And hey, listen friends, I've got a Scottish Fantasy Premier League going. I'm going to leave the link in the description. I'd love to see some of your faces join that. Even if you don't know anything about the Scottish Premier League, it's just for fun for us to learn about the players and different leagues, kind of like how I wanted to learn about this league. So another thing is, lastly, I wanted to show just basically how I'm going to do this video. So this video is going to be ranking the stadiums that the teams play in. So I wanted to kind of explain my criteria a little bit because it may not, it may not make sense. But so the first thing I'm going to do is how the stadium looks. Not necessarily is it impressive, but just does it look like a soccer stadium, football, whatever you want to call it. So secondly, I'm a sucker for grass fields, so honestly that's going to go into effect a little bit in this video too. And third, which is going to be the most complicated thing that I took into account, is going to be the attendance. So, we're only a few games, I think we're 8 games into the current season, so I did not take into account the attendance numbers so far because I don't even think there's been fans allowed into the stadiums yet. I could be wrong, but obviously 2020 was just kind of a little bit of a tournament per se. So these numbers I'm using are going back to 2019, and also take into account that the capacity that I am listing for this video is going to be the capacity listed for games. So for example, I'm going to be showing stadiums that have a capacity clearly a lot more than what is listed for CPL games. So take that into account as well. So that said, let's go ahead and dive right into the video. So we're going to start off at number 8. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm taking 2019 into account. So number 8 isn't really number 8. It's more of a not ranked team because they weren't even a team in 2019. And that's Atco Ottawa with TD Stadium based in obviously Ottawa, Ontario. Opened in 1908, this stadium has been home to the Ottawa Red Blacks and Aces. So it's a multi-purpose stadium with field turf. Unfortunately, this reminds me a little bit of, a lot of American teams here in America, they don't have their own stadiums, so they choose to play in the NFL team stadiums, which sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't think we have enough on attendance to know whether or not this is going to work. Although the stadium does look beautiful, don't get me wrong, and it seems like it's in a park, next to a park, in a park-like setting, so that adds a little bit to the beauty of this location of the stadium. And I'm going to try to give a little bit of a fun fact about each stadium. Some of them I have some for, some of them I don't. So my fun fact for this one is in 1995 it actually hosted a Women's World Cup game, which is pretty impressive. Not everybody can say that. Has a listed capacity for CPL of 24,000, and obviously I can't tell you the average, the high or the low or anything like that because we don't know yet. But I will give credit where credit's due, and the owner is giving, I believe this weekend actually, is pay what you want for a ticket, which I think is a great, say what you want about the league. I know there's a lot going on right now with the players and problems they're having with some of the facilities and transportation, but for the fans' perspective, I think that's a really good gesture on the owner. So overall, I think this is a great stadium. It's just not a soccer stadium, and I don't know enough about it yet in terms of the attendance to give it a ranking. So it's going to be at number 8 just because simply it has to be. So going on to the true last ranking, I should say, is York Lions Stadium based in Toronto, Ontario, which is of course home to York United. Opened in 2015, it's built on the home of York University. It's a multi-use stadium with artificial turf. The stadium did host the 2015 Pan American Games, which was the year that it opened. It looks like it's more of a suburban type location. It doesn't look like it's right in Toronto. It looks like it's a little bit of a hike. A CPO listed capacity of 4,000 seated 8,000 total. I'm going to assume that's probably standing room based around the track. Could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. The average attendance in 2019 was 2,668, which was 7th overall, aka dead last. The highest attendance was 4,260 for a game, and that is the second lowest highest attendance. I know that's a lot to take in, so bear with me on the verbiage of some of these. The lowest attended game was 1,729, which was the lowest of the low. Overall, the stadium does not look terrible. I do like that it's not played in a CFL or a Canadian Football League, CFL stadium. But it does, with the low attendance, it's hard to rank it anything higher than dead last. And it does look like it might be a little bit of a hike from Toronto. I don't know where most of the fans are going to be based at, but it does look like it's a little bit of a drive to get there, so that hurts the rankings mainly because of the attendance. So we'll move on to number 6, which is Clark Stadium, based in Edmonton, Alberta, of course home to FC Edmonton. It's an older stadium founded in 1938. It plays home to the Edmonton Wildcats and Huskies as well. It's been the home of the soccer club since the NASL days back to 2012, which, fun fact, I actually went to watch FC Edmonton play at the Tampa Bay Rowdies in the NASL. I don't remember the year, maybe 2014, 15, something like that, back when they had the old logo. It does have AstroTurf. It has a listed capacity of 5,100, average attendance of 2,951, which is the second lowest in the league. It had the highest attendance rated game of 4,238, which is the lowest in 2019. And the lowest attended game was 2,021, which was the third lowest, and it was just a hair from being the second lowest. Overall, I do prefer to watch a game in a stadium like FC Edmonton's or York United's over a Canadian Football League stadium. But the low attendance numbers is obviously going to hurt the atmosphere, and that keeps it from being any higher. Although I'm sure the diehard supporters are absolutely amazing to sit with in this stadium. But it comes in at number 6. So at number 5, I have Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, Ontario. And that, of course, is home to Forge FC. Opened in 2014, it's also home to the Hamilton Tiger Cats and Hurricanes, so it's a multi-purpose stadium. It has field turf. It was the home, and this is a nice little claim to fame, it was the home of the first ever Canadian Premier League match. So hey, nobody can ever take that away from it. It has a listed capacity of 10,016, which I can only imagine the 16 is just so that they can say they're the highest capacity stadium possibly, because I'll get to that in a second. Has the average attendance of 6,588, which is the highest in 2019. The highest attendance they had was 17,611, which was also the highest in 2019. And unless something's changed this year, which again, I don't think fans have been allowed yet, that is the record for the Canadian Premier League. The lowest ever attended match for this team was 3,864, which was the second highest in the league. So overall, good attendance numbers like this raise it above some of the other stadiums, even though I don't necessarily prefer to watch a game in a stadium like this. Seemingly has a good location, but I can't have it ahead of the top 3 just yet. But we'll move on to number 4. So getting into the top half of the league. Number 4, I have IG Field, based in Winnipeg, Manitoba, which of course is home to the Valor Football Club. Newer stadium, opened in 2013. It's on the campus of the University of Manitoba, which I did not know that until I read that. It plays home to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and Rifles, as well as the Manitoba Bison, which I believe is the university team. It played host to an NFL game between the Raiders and Packers back in 2019, which I actually remember that game. I don't remember who won, but I do remember that game. And visually, this is the most breathtaking looking stadium that I see in terms of just how it looks, as you can see from the pictures to my side here. It has a listed capacity of 10,000 for CPL teams games, which is again that 16 from earlier. I can only imagine has to be just because they wanted to one up IG Field has an average attendance of 5,335, which places it at third overall. Highest attended match came in at 9,699, which was the second highest overall. The lowest attended match was 3,173, which was the third highest low. Overall, good numbers for attendance mixed with the beauty of the stadium. I have it at number 4. Although I'll admit I'm not sure what to say about the actual location of the stadium. I have no idea if this is good or bad. So if you are in Edmonton, or I'm sorry, if you are in Winnipeg, let me know if that's a good location or not, because I have no idea. But it is the highest rated football stadium that I have on this list. So obviously in the top 3, they're not Canadian Football League teams or stadiums. So at number 3, and by the way, number 1, 2, and 3, I feel like you could have interchangeably. I will give you my reason for the ranking. So number 3, I have Starlight Stadium, which is based in Langford, British Columbia, which is of course home to the Pacific Football Club. Still relatively new. From what I could see, it opened in 2009, and it also serves as home to the West Shore Rebels and Rugby Canada. It does have a field turf, according to Google, it takes about 3 to 4 hours to get to Vancouver itself. I don't know if that's true or not. If you are a Pacific fan, let me know if that actually does take that long to get to Vancouver. This is the first one on the list that I think does resemble a proper football stadium. It has a listed capacity of 6,200, average attendance of 3,102, which was the third lowest. That was a little surprising to me. The highest attended match was 5,103, which was the fourth highest, so it puts it about at middle of the table. The lowest attended match was 2017, which puts it at the third lowest, barely. So overall, I think this is a beautiful looking field. I do wish it had grass, selfishly. I didn't expect the attendance numbers to be that low. I think that works a little bit against the atmosphere of the stadium, but at the same time, it does kind of work for it to it, because I think the possible difficulty of getting to the stadium means that it's going to be filled with diehard supporters. So if you do live in Vancouver and you're driving there, clearly you are a diehard supporter. Again, let me know if that does take that long. It kind of blew my mind a little bit. I would love to see a stadium or a match at the stadium. It just looks absolutely gorgeous with the setting, but the attendance numbers kept it from going up on this list. So at number 2, I have, and I don't know if you're supposed to abbreviate this or just say it, so it's Atco Field or ATCO Field, based in Foothills County, Alberta, which of course is home to Calgary FC. This is seems to be like a brand new stadium, opened in 2019, and it appears to be a soccer specific stadium with a grass field. It reminds me of a League 2 stadium in England, so that got points for me. It kind of reminds me of, actually I don't know what this reminds me of. It's really unique looking. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I did read that there's some equestrian type events coming here, but for all intents and purposes it does look like it was built specifically for soccer. The location, however, does come off a little bit strange to me. I don't know if there's a specific reason for that. The capacity is 5,288 listed. The average attendance is 3,292, which comes in at 4th overall, so that's, mid-table. The highest attended match comes at 4,697, which was the 3rd lowest. And the lowest attended match was 1,938, which was the 2nd lowest, which hurt it a little bit on my list. So overall, this is my favorite actual looking stadium on this list. It is a proper football field. It's what a stadium's supposed to look like and what I think a stadium should look like in this league. However, the low attendance kept it from being number 1 on my list, and the location of it may be actually what's hurting the attendance. I'm not sure. I know I have some Calgary supporters that have watched the past 2 videos, so if you're a Calgary supporter, let me know if you think the location's hurting the attendance. I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are on that. But great looking stadium. So that leaves one left, and at number 1 I have the HFX Wanderers, which is located at Wanderers Ground in Halifax, Nova Scotia. This is a very old stadium. Looks like it was founded in the 19th century actually, and it's a grass field. The fun fact about this is Babe Ruth actually once played here, and from what I can read, they're actually the only tenant for this stadium right now. It does remind me of a lower level English stadium. I would say Calvary looks like a League 2 stadium, and I would say this looks like maybe a National League North stadium in England. It looks like it's right next to the heart of downtown, so I'm sure that that plays into the atmosphere a little bit. It has a listed capacity of 6,200, average attendance of 6,061, which they obviously almost filled up the stadium every single match, but that's good for second overall. The highest attended match was 6,244, which is over capacity, so maybe standing room only, which come in at the third highest, and this is what blows me away about this. The lowest attended match in the stadium came in at 5,387. which is barely below capacity, so that was the highest low that in the league in 2019. So you mix the attendance numbers with the location, mixed with just the history of this stadium and field, how could you have anything else other than this at number one, in my opinion? So that said, let me know what you thought of the list. What did I get wrong? What did I get right? What did I not know? What should I have mentioned? You guys have been absolutely amazing with the conversation in the past two videos, so I hope to keep that going in this one. And this was my last planned video for the trilogy for this. You have made me a fan. Like I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but I even have the Canadian Premier League app downloaded on my phone now. I hope to see some of you all in the Scottish Fantasy League. Keep in touch, because I will be in Canada very soon. I may actually be moving to Canada as soon as January, so I hope to keep learning about this league. Hopefully I'll have a road trip where I can see all these stadiums, and follow us on social media if you can. Keep in touch, because I would love to catch a game with some of you guys and have a bite to eat. That said, I hope you guys are staying safe up there for now, and hey, like I said, big hug from Las Vegas, and you guys keep doing you. Be safe out there.